Okay, as predicted, we had another good cold snap. We had 2 weeks of weather that was it was in the 70s. It actually got up to like 79 degrees, almost 80 degrees, and everybody was out just working their yards and planting and carrying on. And then we had the cold snap, which is expected. It got down to well, let me put it this way: when I woke up this morning, there was frost, so it got down into 30s, low 30s, pretty much skirting on the freezing point. But anyway, all is good. All my plants are in. Nothing. I mean, I was prepared for it, but I've been staying busy. Here's one of my latest projects: is potatoes. I've never grown a potato. I did a little research, and there's lots of ways to grow potatoes. Outside of growing in the ground, you can do it in pots and cages and several bags, several ways. So I decided, well, I'll just come up with something with stuff I have laying around. And so I've got what I did is I took a tomato cage, just an existing tomato cage I had, and I lined the inside of the cage with a couple of I cut open a couple of bags of the potting mix I've been using into sheets, and took 2 potting mix bags and lined the inside of the cage with those plastic bags and some duct tape. And then on the outside, I put some of the landscape fabric. I did that more for aesthetics than anything. Just looks a little nicer than some contraption made out of plastic bags sitting in the driveway. And you can see there's some straw in there. I filled the container. There's no bottom, by the way. This is just a cylinder, an open cylinder. And I set it out in my driveway, or in the corner here, and I filled it about 1/3 with potting mix and some compost and a little bit of this and a little of that. Just I put a little bit of manure, or not manure, but the bagged manure type stuff you can buy. Put a little of that in there, and a little bit and some fertilizer and whatnot. And then I planted seed potatoes, not store-bought potatoes, nothing like that. These are actual seed potatoes, and set them about 4 to 6 inches apart, and about 4 inches away from the internal rim of the container, and with the eyes pointing up. And then I covered them with a couple inches of soil, and then I put probably, I don't know, 3 inches of straw on top of that. And then what I'll do is, as the plants emerge, and once they're about 6 inches above the surface, I'll fill them up with about 3 inches of material. And they really like compost and organic material and stuff. They like an acidic soil, or something more on the acidic side. So this is my experiment, and in order to secure it, I just, because I have it by the house, I did put in some screws in 3 places with fender washers on them, just to kind of secure it real good. It's good and solid. It's not going anywhere. And as the summer draws along and we start getting into the heat of summer, it should be near full. And then I've got another idea as far as sunlight, because you're probably wondering how is sunlight going to get down in this thing. I think I'm going to just probably take some of that mylar that I have. You can buy a roll of it at hobby stores or whatever, craft stores. And I made a line, lay it in there. It depends on how hot it gets and how, I don't want to overdo it and cook the plants. But I'll just show that as I go along, my experiments with that, and we'll see how this goes. But anyway, that's my latest project, the potato bin. It's 3 foot tall by about 2 foot, give or take, in diameter. And that's, you want something about that size if you really want to do this. I mean, a little bucket or something is just, that's not really worth the trouble in my opinion. I mean, if you're going to do it right. A lot of people use garbage cans, which I would have done, but I had this material. I had a cage. I had all the plastic, and I had everything. So I just I like to recycle and reuse stuff as much as I can. So there we go. There's my potato bin. So that'll be something to look forward to with my updates. See how that goes. Alright, I taped a piece of foam over my microphone to hopefully cut down on some of this wind noise. This is the potato bin. It's basically just a big cylinder. And I ended up cutting out around it to let the sun in. I don't think the dark tube was going to work out very well. So what I'll do, as these potatoes grow about 6 inches, I'll fill it in with 3 inches of compost and leaf matter and stuff like that. They really like that manure and leaf matter, compost. So every 6 inches of growth, I'll fill 3 inches, and I'll put a piece of this weed fabric in to contain it. So I'll be putting in, 6 or so inches of weed fabric in as I go, and let the soil kind of hold it in place, and so it can still breathe and whatnot. And so that's the potato bin. I've got quite a few potatoes. These are Yukon Gold. I got these at Lowe's, seed potatoes, and I just planted the whole potatoes. I didn't cut them up or anything. This plant here I put out early. This is a Super Sioux. This is kind of one of my close tomatoes that I call it. It's not out in the garden. I can do a little more I don't know, protection to this tomato, give it, kind of screen it if it gets too hot, things like that. I can be a little more intimate with this tomato here and get it through the summer. If the other tomatoes are having a problem, there's not a lot I can do, but then I'll have a backup tomato kind of away from them if there's disease. And I always like to do that, just have a tomato or two kind of away from the rest of them that I can be a little more intimate with and help along. But yeah, that's a Super Sioux. This is the shallots that I showed in the herb box, and they're coming up. The wife's going today to pick up some herbs and things that will kind of plant around in here a little bit. I just want to let these guys up and get a little sun and get a little height to them before we started putting anything else around them. And but it's doing well. Once they came out, they took off. This is some lettuce. The heat is just, man, it's been, yesterday it got up to 90 degrees, so the lettuce was not happy. So I'm using the screen box that I made for this. I've got it sitting up here to kind of give them a little bit of shade. These here are Detroit beets. They've just been transplanted, so they're still trying to regain composure. Not sure how they'll do. And another thing, these are some big pots, but they're not full of soil. I filled in the bottom with some milk jugs and 2-liter bottles and things, so there's only about 8 inches or so with soil. I didn't just, there was no sense in filling these completely for these little shallow root type plants.